Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agreed to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire video. Once again, I am very excited to be able to bring you this new information. As I have said before, I love when we find out any information that has been kept behind the scenes for many years. Finally, we have some answers about why Lady Stoneheart was left out of the show. Dan and Dave actually gave 3 reasons why they ultimately decided not to include her. Thanks to James Hibbert over at Entertainment Weekly, he has released some information from his upcoming book, Fire Cannot Kill a Dragon. Now, unless you have been living under a rock, most of you should know who Lady Stoneheart is, but for those of you that might not know, let me give you a brief summary of who the character is and how she came to be. As you all know, Lady Catelyn Stark was killed during the Red Wedding, but what we did not see in the show is what happened to her after this. Shortly after Lady Catelyn died, her body was thrown into the river, where it would stay for the next 3 days. Well, on that 3rd day of her body being in the river, Arya's direwolf Nymeria dragged her body out of that river. Now I'm sure you all can imagine what Lady Catelyn must have looked like in that moment. Unfortunately, right before Lady Catelyn died, she more or less lost her mind after witnessing the death of her son, Robb Stark. You see, moments before she was killed, Catelyn actually dug her own nails into her face, leaving these horrific scratch marks all over. Then, of course, her throat was cut open. So when Nymeria found her after she had been floating in the water for 3 days, she was almost unrecognizable. Shortly after Nymeria brings her body to the shore, the Brotherhood without banners arrive on the scene. This is when Beric Dondarrion gives her the kiss of life. Obviously, Beric dies because his life force goes into her, but Lady Catelyn is resurrected as Lady Stoneheart. She is no longer the same woman we once knew. Now she is out for vengeance on anyone she believes was involved with the Red Wedding. Now the Brotherhood without banners follow her as she gets her revenge on houses Frey, Lannister, and Bolton. And it doesn't take long before they come across their first victim from House Frey. Lady Stoneheart hasn't had very many scenes in the book since she was brought back, but whenever she does show up, those moments end up becoming some of my favorite scenes to read. Lady Stoneheart is fascinating. Now, if you have not read the books, then you might want to check out my video on the character. I actually made a video a few years ago where I go over her storyline in the books. I will add the link to that video down below, if you would like to check it out. Alright, now I think I have done enough setup, so let me show you what Dan and Dave said about why they left her out of the show. So, the article at Entertainment Weekly says, there are 3 reasons. The first reason remains a bit vague, because it involves what Martin has secretly planned for Lady Stoneheart and his storylines versus the show's storylines. One of the reasons we did not want to include her had to do with things coming up in George's books that we don't want to spoil by discussing them, Benioff says. Now, maybe it's just me, but I think this is a dumb reason to keep her out of the show, considering everything else they spoiled over the years. Now, obviously, I don't know exactly how the books will end, but George R. R. Martin has more or less confirmed that Bran Stark will be the king by the end of his story. So Dan and Dave are willing to reveal something that significant, but not Lady Stoneheart's storyline? They showed us how all the main characters die, although they could be different in the books, but for some reason they don't want to show us some of the things Lady Stoneheart might do. Not only that, but they could have brought her back without spoiling anything from George's books. They could have just given her character a different ending like they have done with so many others. They also revealed one of the biggest secrets in the story, which was who is Jon Snow's real mother and father. Now, maybe I'm just being selfish for wanting to see Lady Stoneheart so bad, but they already revealed so much anyway, so why not just include her too? It would have made the show even better. Now, let me show you the second reason they gave. The second reason was that even when writing Season 3, the duo knew they were going to do a major death and resurrection across Seasons 5 and 6, and they wanted to make sure that stayed shocking and suspenseful. We knew we had Jon Snow's resurrection coming up, Benioff says. Too many resurrections start to diminish the impact of characters dying. You know what, I actually won't argue with that because I do kind of agree with it to some extent. Now, I would still rather have Lady Stoneheart than not having her at all. But if you want to argue this reasoning, then feel free to sound off down in the comment section of the video. You know I always love to hear what you have to say. Now I want to show you their third reason for not including Lady Stoneheart, because I do have something to say about this. Their third reason was that the Red Wedding was one of the show's most powerful moments, a dramatic home run as executed by director David Nutter, and the show's cast had exactly the impact they had long hoped for. The showrunners felt that bringing back a form of Catelyn Stark might weaken what was accomplished by the scene, and that a silent, undead version of Catelyn seemed beneath the dignity of actress Michelle Fairley, who was already supernaturally haunting as a doomed human in her final minutes. Catelyn's last moment was so fantastic, and Michelle is such a great actress, to bring her back as a zombie who doesn't speak felt like diminishing returns, Benioff says. Well, let me tell you something, David and Dan. How about bringing both of you back to write the final season felt like diminishing returns? How about that? So, basically what they're saying is, they were afraid that bringing Lady Stoneheart back would take away from her amazing scene during the Red Wedding. They felt like this would retroactively hurt the show, but guess what? The final season they gave us retroactively hurt the entire series, not just one scene, like the Red Wedding. They thought this would hurt the integrity of one episode, yet they somehow did not see how every other decision they made hurt the entire show. They really are Dumb and Dumber. Well, Lady Catelyn does come back in the books, and it doesn't affect her final moments during the Red Wedding whatsoever. At least it doesn't affect it to me. But hey, who knows? Maybe it would for someone else. I think I do speak for most of us though when I say we would have liked for her to be included in the show. Do you know who else wanted Lady Stoneheart in the show? George R.R. Martin. The creator of the story wanted her in the show, even if it spoiled his own books. In fact, George said, Lady Stoneheart has a role in the books, whether it's sufficient or interesting enough. I think it is, or I would not have brought her back. One of the things I wanted to show with her is that the death she suffers changes you. In one of his interviews with Esquire China, George R. R. Martin once said, "In The Winds of Winter, I still continue to write her. She is an important character in the set of books. Keeping her character is the change I most wish I could make in the show." Let me read that last line again, just in case you missed it. George R. R. Martin said, "Keeping her character is the change I most wish I could make in the show." Now actually think about that. Think about all the changes that were made in the show. Out of all those changes, George R. R. Martin's #1 wish was that they would have included Lady Stoneheart. If he doesn't care about spoiling his own character's storyline, then why should Dan and Dave? If this doesn't tell you that Lady Stoneheart is a significant character, then I don't know what will. Don't hold back, folks. Let me hear what you have to say about this revelation. I will see you down in the comment section. I want to thank everyone for watching the video. Thank all of you for continuing to support the channel. I hope everyone has a great day. I will see you again very soon. Bye.